Hi, Drew. Thanks for
Hi,
joining us today.
my pleasure.
I appreciate it. So let's start off by we want to talk about you. I want to hear about you and your professional career. So please tell us a little something about where you work.
Uh, I work for RK&K. We're an engineering firm. We're located in downtown Baltimore, and I've been here for 10 years. And before that, I did a lot of project hire work.
Okay. Well, so what has kept you in this profession for so long? I mean, what's your favorite thing about what you do?
I think it's got to be I'm stubborn has kept me doing this for so long. And I'm stubborn and I do it because I like it. Um, Especially all those years doing project hire, it was just be in the field, be outside, joy of discovery. And that's really what's kept me doing this.
I think stubbornness is a trait of that most archaeologists can relate to. Do you ever get to go out in the field anymore these days?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm still involved. I supervise field projects.
That's nice. That's always my favorite part of the job is getting out.
Yeah.
So what first got you into archaeology?
Well, my standard answer is witness protection program. But after years of doing this, I realized that doesn't play out so well since it's amazing how you can just start to, oh, you know so and so. Oh, I know so and so too. And so I actually grew up in a household that history was very important. And basically, anything, our house was practically a museum itself, and everything had a story. And that just became a part of my life, is telling the stories behind everything.
So is your house like a museum today? Do you like the house you grew up in?
Yeah, we call it the Druseum. Yeah, there's a lot of things in there, old antiques and objects. Yeah.
You need to start giving tours of that place. So let's talk a little bit about the topic of your Maryland Archaeology Month essay. What did you write about?
We looked at two of the types of specialized analysis that we did after a phase 3 project that we did in PG County. We did, it was basically residue analysis, um, a protein CIEP, and an FTRI, which basically is getting the artifacts, submitting them to a lab where basically any type of residue that's left on the artifacts are pulled off through the chemicals, and they're isolated away from the artifact and then examined. And basically, uh, with the protein analysis, it was antibodies, proteins basically are pulled off and then introduced to known serums that would attract. So it gives you a match. And with the FTRI, it's kind of neat. They take the basically infrared rays are shot through it and it's recorded. And basically the wavelengths are matched up to knowns that can match up with, in our case, it was bear and American eel.
Fascinating. How old was the site that you were these artifacts came from?
It was kind of a unique little site in that, for the most part, it was a middle woodland site, short-term occupation. There were some older artifacts that came up, but the occupation itself, the site was only 15 meters by 15 meters.
Hmm.
It consisted of 2 thermal features and several napping features.
Did you get any radiocarbon dates? So tell our audience, what's the Middle Woodland? What does that date to about?
Oh, you're going to put me on the spot. Well, I know the end date's around 900, and we had about 200 AD, and the uh, the carbon dates did come up with that. We did have some extraneous ones, but they also matched up pretty well with what we were finding. Our one thermal feature that was identified on the phase 2 um, came up with a date. I don't have the exact dates off the top of my head. This was 10 years ago.
Wow.
And but it did come up towards the end of the middle woodland period, which matched up with the projectile points we were finding, the ceramics. And it was kind of unique. The site itself uh, had jasper was the main, like we had these napping features and it was all jasper.
Hmm.
And then we actually had another analysis done to source the jasper. And we had some surprises with that as well.
Very cool. So yeah, I mean, we're looking at, a small campsite from what, at least 1,000, 1,500 years ago. And so your analysis is showing exactly what they were hunting and processing on that site.
Yes, and then also like we actually were able to through the residue testing, we actually got like food goods. I forgot to mention ceramics. We had submitted, came up with Pato, which is a wetland plant, tuber plant
Hmm.
that was used all across North America as a food. And then we did the sourcing for the jasper, and we came up with jasper sources. Um, yeah, the two closest would have been in Iron Hill near Elkton and Point of Rocks. Those were definitely not in our samples. We
Hmm.
had things from Center County, Pennsylvania, and basically central Virginia.
Wow, really interesting. So it sounds like it really paints a much more vibrant picture of indigenous life from thousands of years ago. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, how do you think that innovative technologies like this are going to be improved upon in the future? I mean, the site you're talking about is 10 years ago. So, I mean, how can archaeologists use these technologies to learn even more about the past?
Well, I'll say this exercise in explaining these types, because when we first had get these special reports back on the analysis, I start to read the process, and then I want to get to the conclusions. What's the So this was a process to get used to it, and it's amazing the science that's applied to it, particularly with the residue analysis and using even with the lithic sourcing, irradiating to pull out elements that are common to certain quarry sites. Um, yeah, it's amazing what you can what people will come up with to apply science to or technology to the science.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to talk to us today. I appreciate it.
Oh, that you're welcome.